So, so I'm really looking to explore, why and how readers explore their love of books. And I found, one way readers do that is through art, whether it be music, art, fan fiction, or whatnot. Can you tell me anything about
Yeah.
that and what inspired you?
Yeah, so I have always been a reader. Like I was probably like a very late bloomer reader because I have dyslexia and ADHD, which I think is what initially drew me to the Percy Jackson series, which I am like very deeply like rooted in now. But for me, like reading, I think that all these authors, they create these worlds, right? That we all so desperately want to be entwined with, right? And we can't just go and join, like I guess we could go and join clubs, book clubs exist, right? But like we can't just go and join the world, right? And so I think as creators, artists, musicians, writers, right, we like just ache to be a part of it. And so we insert ourselves somehow into that world. And for me, at least in my experience, I know art is very much that for me is I am able to enter into this world, to join these characters that I love, like by creating art, right? And it's been a really wonderful thing to be able to share that time with these characters. Like obviously, like I'm not necessarily, I wouldn't consider myself a writer or an author in any way, but I can draw, and so I love like being able to just share what these authors create.
And especially back in like the peak Percy Jackson Tumblr era, your art was area everywhere, especially like the infamous Percy hoodie drawing.
Yeah,
Can
my
you talk a
little
bit about
son.
that?
I had no idea. The crazy thing about that is I posed like 19 years old, like when I drew Hoodie Percy. And I remember it was like, oh gosh, what day was it? It was like, I think I posted on like New Year's Eve, something like crazy. Like, because I remember just posting it and being like, well, this isn't gonna do well, like, and posting it. And then I just didn't think about it for a really, really long time. And then came back and was like, whoa, like people know this piece of art. But it's been cool to be part of the fandom, like in some way, like feel like you're contributing. Because I think as an artist, I draw art for all sorts of fandoms that nobody ever sees. um, but to be able to say like I'm a part of this fandom, like people know this piece, it makes you feel like you're, especially like with the Hoodie Percy, it's like I feel like in some way I got to know Percy like for who he is because I got to capture that one moment that so many people resonated with. And it's this cool like, wow, like I got to contribute in this. That's really neat. Like that's really cool that I get to be a part of that in some tiny little form.
And do you think, art like that has an impact when it comes to, building community for these fandoms?
I think art, like, I don't know as far as my pieces go, but I know that art definitely, I think, like in all forms, right, I can have an impact, like because I mean I can't imagine not seeing characters as art in my mind, right? Like that's what makes me an artist. Like as I see it, I draw it, I get it, I want it, right? Like I see it in my mind and I just draw it. But a lot of people aren't that way, and I think that artists, and maybe I'm selfish in saying this, but like, or like it's maybe a little cocky, but like artists I think are backbones of fandoms. Like we see in our minds what these authors sometimes don't even see clearly themselves because they're describing these characters and they see it in their mind, but they don't know how to get it out, right? Artists, that's where we come in and go, okay, like this is what you're describing. This is what I'm seeing. And I'm going to create it for you. Like I'm going to put it down. And I think that as far as fandoms go, I mean, like I would say as we as artists are pretty important to fandoms to helping. Yeah, I would say that artists are pretty like are critical to fandoms. Like I can't imagine a fandom without art. Like and sometimes I'll be reading a new book and there's no art out and I'm like, man, why isn't there any art? I probably could create some, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, I know your art has definitely had an impact. I can almost with certainly say that I've read fan fiction inspired by like the hoodies drawing.
No way. No way. Oh, that that piece was just an accident, and it just is. It really, I love it. Like it's underneath my bed in a picture frame. Like
I love
and
that. It's always
just
the accidents
collecting
that have the
dust.
biggest impact.
It's just sitting in a, in a, for a long time it was at the bottom of a box, and thank goodness it made it out of my parents' garage alive, because there was a chance, like, and so I don't know, like it's kind of crazy to me to think like, oh, there's fan fiction out there, because it just, I don't know, it's just kind of this crappy little sketch that just hopped out of my pencil one day. But those are the things that, that's the art that matters the most to me, I think, is just the little crappy little sketches. And I have Hoodie Percy as proof, I guess.
Yeah. And I found another aspect of like fan art and fandom has been essential to, especially in communities where authors or canon materials are kind of problematic. I know with the Harry Potter community, everyone's been turning to fan
Also,
fiction and fan films lately as opposed to canon things. What are your thoughts on art supporting fans in search of safe spaces?
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think the Percy Jackson community is also a really good example, as the fandom can sometimes be a little problematic, especially with J.K. Rowling, which is a hot topic for me. Like it's, I think that I, I would consider myself this is like, I would never want a child, or, I'm a mom. Like I'm an older Percy Jackson fan, and book fan, right? Like I'm a mom to two small kids, and I would never, like, and it makes me tear up thinking about it, ever want them to feel unsafe in a community, right? And I think as artists, we are the safety guards, or the guardians of that. Like you know, we have a responsibility to create art for them and kind of control in some way the stuff that comes out of that, right? Like we control what art we make. And I think it's really important that artists continue to make art for toxic, like, authors, right? Like I have Harry Potter fan art, and I am not a supporter of J.K. Rowling in any way, shape, or form. I've never read anything Colleen Hoover, just because it's just a little too problematic for me. But like, like with the casting of Annabeth, right? The fandom just lost it, if we're just staying in the Percy Jackson realm. And that just made me so upset that I literally dropped everything and drew like Annabeth as a strong Black girl, because Annabeth can be anyone. These characters can be anyone, and we as artists make it happen. We help people to see how it could be, rather than always how it is. And so, yeah, I definitely think that we play an important role in making sure that communities are safe all around. And vice versa, like artists can take that in the wrong direction too. So I think it's important that we stay loud and stay supportive of those who can't always defend themselves.